If an alien were among us, disguised as a human, would we be prepared to wage war against them? For today's movie recap, we'll cover a sci-fi action film from South Korea called Parasyte the Grey. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The movie starred in the rave where a woman is DJing and pumping out EDM music to a lively crowd. One of the alien orbs lands on the balcony, opening up to reveal a mysterious gray parasite. It sneaks backstage and infects the DJ's brother, taking control of him. Once it gains control, chaos erupts as the infected man transforms into a tentacle creature, unleashing a massacre at the rave. Next, we meet our main character, Soo-in. She works at a checkout counter, dealing with customers every day. One evening, a particularly rude customer follows her home and attacks her with a knife. Soo-in tries to escape but collapses on the ground, defenseless. Just then, a strange sphere drops nearby. As the attacker, Lee Kyung-chun, continues his assault, he suddenly meets a gruesome fate. Out of nowhere, he's sliced in half by an unseen force. It turns out Lee Kyung-chun had a history of violent behavior and struggled with mental illness. At the police station, detectives are puzzled by Lee Kyung-chun's bizarre death. He's been sliced in half, but there's no clear explanation for how it happened. Soo-in, the woman he attacked, miraculously survives with only scars as evidence of her injuries. When she wakes up in the hospital, she appears to be completely healed, but something strange is happening to her as flashbacks reveal her writhing in pain on the night of the attack. Months pass and we meet Seol Kang-woo, a member of the Mangnani's gang. He's assigned to eliminate the leader of the rival gang, Young-dong-po. Armed with a knife, Seol Kang-woo enters a club where his target is located. However, his plan goes wrong, and he's forced to flee before carrying out the assassination. After the failed mission, Kang-woo decides to go into hiding. He disconnects his phone and returns to his rural home. His sister, Kyung-hee, is acting strangely, especially when it comes to their younger sister Jin-hee, whom she claims is around but doesn't provide clear details. However, Kang-woo discovers Jin-hee's phone in the dresser drawer, along with a flyer for the Saijin Church Revival prayer meeting. This connection hints at the parasites forming a cult. Soon after, the parasites lure an unsuspecting man, who hired an escort, into an abandoned building. They reveal themselves, intending to harm him. However, armed guards arrive unexpectedly, triggering a fierce battle. Despite the parasites' immense strength, the well-trained guards manage to overpower them, leading to a fierce fight in the warehouse. It is revealed that the parasites can detect each other through the ringing in their ears. Following the chaos, Choi Jung-kyung, the operation leader, assesses the aftermath. She recognizes that the parasites are coordinating their activities. Breaking into a locked room, they uncover gruesome remains and symbols linking back to the mysterious church. Meanwhile, Soo-in resumes her normal routine at work, with her scars slowly fading. She keeps in touch with Detective Chulmin, the investigator assigned to her case. However, Soo-in begins to experience peculiar occurrences due to the parasite within her. Her ears ring with warning signals, and she perceives people around her differently. Suddenly, she becomes a target for the parasites, who communicate with each other to surround her one night. Among them is Kyung-hee, who identifies Soo-in as kin and hands her a flyer for the church, urging her to pay a visit. As Kang-woo listens in on the conversation, Soo-in's parasite catches wind of his presence and confronts him. Threatening him with a painful demise, the parasite coerces Kang-woo into compliance. Later, when Soo-in wakes up, Kang-woo explains what happened. He tells her that the alien parasite, which is like a baby worm, entered her body and fixed her injuries instead of eating her brain. So now Soo-in is like two different people, a regular one and a strange mutant because of the parasite. Kang-woo tells Soo-in what the parasite wants, then goes back home, leaving Soo-in to think about it all. Soo-in goes back home feeling confused and writes in her diary, questioning if there's really someone else inside her body. Suddenly, she loses track of time, and when she wakes up, she finds that the parasite has responded to her question. It confirms that there is indeed another presence inside her body and offers to explain their situation further. The parasite tells Soo-in to ask any questions she has, and it will provide answers. This situation is different from what Soo-in has seen in movies or anime, where the parasites are sentient beings. However, for now, communicating through the diary seems to work. The parasite explains that it can only take control of her body for up to 15 minutes each day, and during that time it will protect her at all costs. Soo-in needs to be cautious because if other parasites like hers find out she's a mutant, they might try to harm her. She also has a video of the parasite on her phone as proof of its existence in their unique relationship. In the town, a special task force from Seoul arrives with high-tech scanners to check for parasite infestations. Security measures are tightened, indicating that the situation is serious. Led by Jun Kyung, the task force is determined to root out the parasites, and Soo-in may soon find herself in their sights. During a briefing, they discuss the threat of body snatchers and the urgency of their mission. Jun Kyung emphasizes the importance of eradicating the parasites, which have appeared worldwide but are currently a focus in Korea. They stress the need to destroy the parasites' hearts completely to eliminate them. It's revealed that standard weapons won't suffice for this task. The task force is cautious about sharing information with the media to prevent panic and ensure control over the situation. The task force needs powerful weapons like shotguns or special knives to defeat the parasites. Adding to this, they have a unique method to test suspected individuals for infestation. All they need to do is pluck a hair, which should disintegrate if the person is a parasite. Then we see Detective Chul Min start to suspect Soo-in, adding to the tension. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Jun Kyung's husband has been infected by the parasite. She uses him as a sensor due to his enhanced hearing, keeping him alive to locate parasite gatherings. This strategy helped her discover the parasites in the apartment building. We see Kang-woo selling a watch to get some money from a shop that buys things people don't want anymore. Then he decides to use some of that money to try and unlock his sister's phone. He really wants to see if she left him a message, but Kang-woo is also in trouble. Those bad guys from before, the Yeongdongpo gang, are still looking for him. Even though he finds out Jin-hee called his friend Ki-seok, Kang-woo has to stop searching and escape. As he begins to leave, he realizes that he has been spotted. Kang-woo jumps on a motorbike and races away in a really intense chase scene. After that intense chase, Kang-woo manages to escape and goes to the dock and meets his friend Kyu-min. They talk about how serious the situation with the Yeongdongpo gang is, and they plan to meet again later at 9 p.m. to discuss it further. Kang-woo is also determined to find Jin-hee, now that he knows she called his friend Ki-seok. Meanwhile, Jun Kyung gets to work and is surprised when an eager local officer named Won-seok approaches her. He's a big fan of her work and wants to join the task force. Jun Kyung agrees to help him get in if he helps track down some of the parasites. She even signs his book for him. But as her desk is shown, we see that Soo-in's case is one of the ones she will be investigating soon. Chul Min, feeling sympathetic towards Soo-in, decides to visit her while she's at work. He's determined to uncover the truth about her, so he plucks a hair from her during a break. Surprisingly, the hair doesn't disintegrate like it should if she were a parasite. However, Soo-in does experience that strange ringing in her ears when a guy passes by, indicating that he might be one of the parasites. Before Chul Min leaves, he gives Soo-in a keyring. Later that night, Kang-woo's sister, Kyung-hee, arrives to pick up Soo-in, and they head to the church together. The pastor wants to meet Soo-in because she can imitate humans, unaware that she's actually a mutant. They arrive at the Saijin church, but Kang-woo is also there, watching from a distance and filming everything on his phone. As Kang-woo ignores Kyu-min's request to meet, he decides to take a closer look around the church. To his horror, he discovers several dead bodies wrapped up in a shed nearby. Just as he investigates further, a parasite appears and starts searching the area, forcing Kang-woo to hide and move carefully to avoid being spotted. In his search, he comes across his little sister's body among the victims, which overwhelms him with grief, making it difficult for him to control his emotions. Meanwhile, inside the church, Soo-in learns from the parasites that their purpose on Earth is to control and ultimately eliminate humanity. They paint themselves as victims, claiming that they're being hunted down by Jun Kyung and used as tools to carry out her agenda. According to the pastor, the parasites are unable to have babies, so they're desperate to survive. The meeting is interrupted when Kang-woo, consumed by anger, decides to attack the parasite in the shed. Unfortunately, this alerts the other parasites in the church, and they start hunting him down. As tensions rise, the Yeongdongpo gang arrives and captures Kang-woo in the forest. But because there are parasites behind them, they end up getting killed by the aliens. Kang-woo manages to escape the chaos, and Soo-in helps him get away from the danger. They meet up with Kyu-min at a gas station and quickly drive away. But things take a turn when Kang-woo discovers that Kyu-min has betrayed him to save himself. A fight breaks out between them while they're driving, but they are interrupted when a parasite lands on their windshield and attacks them. During this, Soo-in's parasite springs into action to defend them, leading to a chaotic battle on the road. Meanwhile, Kang-woo finds himself in a perilous situation as their car teeters on the edge of a cliff. Kyu-min, still alive, reveals that Kang-woo has been set up by Jong-do, their former leader, and that Kang-woo is meant to die. It turns out the whole mission was a trap orchestrated to end Kang-woo's life. Just as Kyu-min loses consciousness and Kang-woo is in danger, Soo-in comes to his rescue. She eliminates the parasites threatening them and returns to her normal state. However, Jun-kyung, the head of the task force, notices Soo-in's file on her desk, signaling that she's getting closer to discovering the truth about Soo-in. In a flashback, Jun-kyung goes to get her shopping receipt but leaves her husband alone in the car. During this time, a parasite drops onto their car and infects him. When Jun-kyung returns, she finds chaos erupting in the shopping center as her husband, now under the parasite's control, causes havoc. He attacks Jun-kyung, cutting off her ear, but she manages to escape, rescuing a child along the way. To contain her infected husband, Jun-kyung locks him in a storeroom. Overwhelmed with grief, she spends the night outside, tears streaming down her face as she comes to terms with the situation. Despite her sorrow, she takes decisive action to protect others from the threat posed by her husband's infection. In the present, Kang-woo and Soo-in find refuge in a motel. Kang-woo suggests they go to the authorities and expose the Sijin church, hoping it will save them. Soo-in, however, trusts Chul-min, a police officer who helped her escape her abusive father in the past. Kang-woo is determined to keep fighting, fueled by the losses he's endured. Soo-in apologizes to Kang-woo, hinting at a deeper conflict within herself. They decide to call Chul-min and inform him about the monsters. Chul-min, hesitant to involve the authorities, decides to handle the situation personally. He updates Jun-kyung about Soo-in and the church. Despite her concerns, Chul-min assures her that everything is under control. The task force mobilizes to attack the church, but upon arrival, they find the place deserted, except for a pantry filled with body parts. The parasites seem to have vanished, leaving behind a chilling mystery. In the church, the task force finds the familiar symbol on the walls, confirming its connection to the parasites. Chul-min discovers keys on the ground, which he recognizes as belonging to Soo-in. Despite Jun-kyung's suspicions, he decides to keep this information to himself to protect Soo-in. Meanwhile, at the station, the team learns about the discovery of over 500 body parts in the warehouse. They deduce that it was a meeting place for a large number of parasites. The pastor, Kwon Hyuk-ju, emerges as a primary suspect. Chul-min, feeling uneasy after finding Soo-in's keys, tries to act normal, but Jun-kyung senses something is amiss. Meanwhile, the parasites receive news about Kang-woo and the death of one of their own. Sadly, it turns out that Won-seok is actually working for the parasites. He receives a special knife made of strong material, similar to their tentacles. His task is to kill the hunting dog using this knife, making it seem like the work of a parasite when it's actually Won-seok's doing. On the other hand, Chul-min calls Soo-in and arranges to meet at Changshung Amusement Park in 30 minutes. Unbeknownst to him, Jun-kyung decides to follow him and has someone tail him. Chul-min meets Soo-in and hands her keys back, mentioning the church. He wants to know if she's in danger and urges her to tell the truth. Just as they're talking, Jun-kyung arrives with the hunting dog, triggering the sensor and causing chaos. Kang-woo and Soo-in have no choice but to run and hide in the theme park while more soldiers arrive. Soo-in, under the control of the parasite, attacks Jun-kyung and tries to escape, but she's quickly surrounded by soldiers. Meanwhile, Won-seok stays back and waits while the others rush in. He repeatedly stabs the hunting dog, leaving him badly injured. Kang-woo witnesses this betrayal from a distance, seeing Won-seok's treachery firsthand. Soo-in collapses and Chul-min urgently tries to get her medical help. However, the other officers refuse, believing she's a parasite. Jun-kyung arrives and grabs her late husband's gray helmet, stained with blood, and puts it on Soo-in's head. Soo-in is helpless to resist as she's taken away, seemingly with no way to escape. Jun-kyung is consumed by anger and accuses Soo-in of being a parasite. However, after conducting tests, Chul-min insists on telling the truth to the entire police force. Reluctantly, they admit that Soo-in shows no signs of having a parasite inside her. Currently, Soo-in remains in a coma and poses no threat to anyone. Despite this, the authorities decide it's time to take action and inform the public about the parasite threat to regain control. It's surprising that these parasite attacks, like the one in the supermarket in the EDM rave, haven't received more attention already. It is revealed that Soo-in is set to be moved to headquarters for a detailed examination to confirm whether she's really free of parasites. Jun-kyung is heading up the operation, which adds a lot of tension. On the other hand, the officers at Namil are told to cooperate fully with Team Grey, which doesn't sit well with Chul-min, as he does not seem happy about it. Meanwhile, we meet Heidi, who talks to Soo-in in her subconscious. They have a chat in this unique space, as Heidi feels it's a rare opportunity for them to speak without any interference. Heidi guides Soo-in through memories of her past, showing her the day she bravely reported her father to the police after he had hurt her. It was a tough decision, and Soo-in faced backlash from society, being treated like a monster for speaking out. This experience left her feeling isolated and ostracized, which is why she's so reserved and keeps to herself working at the store. Soo-in also recalls a painful encounter with her birth mother, who cruelly compared her to a bug and essentially abandoned her, choosing her new family over Soo-in. This memory sheds light on why Soo-in received money from her birth mother and was told never to return. Chul-min learns about Kang-woo's involvement with the gangs and his recent troubles in the area. Concerned that Kang-woo might disappear again, Chul-min sets out to meet him before he can leave town. Kang-woo, frustrated by the lack of news about the parasite, plans to board a bus out of town but is intercepted by Chul-min. As they drive, Kang-woo reveals that Won-seok is the one who killed the hunting dog. Shocked by this revelation, Chul-min presses for more details about Kang-woo's connection to Soo-in and Heidi's protective role. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Chul-min resolves to rescue Soo-in and promises to protect Kang-woo as well. Faced with a difficult choice, Kang-woo cowardly opts to walk away, choosing the safer path. However, Chul-min's words cut deep, calling Kang-woo a coward and reminding him of his past actions. After hearing this, Kang-woo is shaken by the harsh truth and realizes he needs to find the courage to stand up and do what's right. With a newfound determination, Kang-woo agrees to help Chul-min with the plan. Meanwhile, Won-seok contacts the pastor and updates him on the transfer and the involvement of the task force. Now, with the parasites closing in, Chul-min assigns Kang-woo the risky task of infiltrating the police station, where he must disguise himself as a member of the elite transfer team. Meanwhile, tensions rise between Won-seok and Chul-min during their drive together. They talk about the church, revealing they don't see eye to eye. Adding to this, things go wrong during Soo-in's transfer. There's an accident on the highway, and suddenly the parasites attack. Despite the efforts to fight them off, the parasites overwhelm them. The truck carrying Soo-in stops due to the chaos, giving Kang-woo a chance to free her. In the midst of the confusion, Kang-woo manages to unlock Soo-in's restraints. However, Jun-kyung steps in to stop them from escaping. However, Kang-woo successfully removes Soo-in's gray helmet, freeing her from her comatose state. The conversation between Soo-in and Heidi concludes with the parasite encouraging Soo-in, reminding her that she's never truly been alone. Together they leave the scene, with Chul-min observing from a distance. He and Won-seok follow them, but Won-seok senses that Chul-min is onto him. Won-seok takes Chul-min to the hideout and reveals his allegiance to the parasites. He expresses his frustration with being manipulated and suggests opening the door to let the parasites in. However, things take a deadly turn when the pastor arrives, prompting Chul-min to shoot him. In retaliation, the parasite inside the pastor attacks Chul-min, infecting him. Soo-in arrives just in time to witness this and engages in a fierce battle with Chul-min, now controlled by the parasite. Despite their efforts, the fight reaches a stalemate, especially with the additional threat of the pastor's parasite now inside Chul-min. Meanwhile, Kang-woo arrives on the scene and manages to escape with Soo-in, but Chul-min remains alive and poses a continued threat, planning his next move with the parasites. In a heartfelt flashback, we delve deeper into Kang-woo's past. His younger sister Jin-hee idolizes him and believes he's in Seoul looking out for her. She calls Ki-seok to see if he knows where her brother is, but he doesn't. When she gets back home, she sees the pastor and Kyung-hee waiting outside. Jin-hee is determined to get help for her older sister, but Kyung-hee and the pastor don't agree. Sadly, Jin-hee's stubbornness leads to her death. Jin-hee's final act is to call Kang-woo for help before she's killed. In the present, Kang-woo contacts Ki-seok, who has fled to Jinyang. Despite the tension between them, Ki-seok agrees to provide his address and passcode for Kang-woo to join him in hiding. Meanwhile, Soo-in grapples with overwhelming grief for Jin-hee, the one person who always protected her. With the realization that the Chul-min she knew is gone and the new one is under parasite control, Soo-in gathers her strength and prepares to leave with Kang-woo. Meanwhile, the task force is feeling uneasy after the failed operation on the highway. They're considering canceling the big music festival in memorial for the mayor, fearing more trouble. However, canceling such a significant event isn't simple. The mayor's reputation is at stake, and for these officials, politics always comes first. After the meeting, Won Seok talks to Chul Min, who is now a parasite. He confirms that Soo-in is different. She's a mutant. This explains why she wasn't detected by the sensors. Chul Min believes they need to get rid of Soo-in, and he plans to handle it himself. At Ki-seok's place, Soo-in decides she's not going to run away anymore. She's determined to fight back. While they watch TV, news about the parasite spreads. Kang-woo is surprised by the authorities' decision to inform the public about the parasite threat. Meanwhile, Jun-kyung locates the church where the parasites are hiding. She takes photos of the exterior and plans a full-scale attack to eliminate everyone inside. Later that night, Soo-in calls Jun-kyung and warns her that both Chul Min and Won Seok are parasites. Jun-kyung dismisses her concerns, citing the full-body scans they underwent for clearance. However, Soo-in reminds her that these scans are not always accurate, especially since Jun-kyung previously captured her and found she wasn't a parasite. Despite this, Jun-kyung agrees to meet Soo-in and asks for an address. As they prepare for the meeting, Jong-woo discovers the final message Jin-hee was about to send before she was killed. It reads, "Don't come home." Kang-woo realizes his mistake and decides to join the fight after all. Soo-in meets Jun-kyung on the opposite rooftop that night. She explains the connection between herself and Heidi, as well as what happened with Chul Min. Jun-kyung suggests that Soo-in join them for the raid, but Soo-in decides to escape when more guards arrive, seemingly setting her up to be their hunting dog. Taking control, Heidi prompts Soo-in to jump off the roof and into a car driven by Kang-woo. As they speed away, Heidi informs Soo-in that she will be dormant for the next 3 hours to avoid further risky situations. Kyung-hee tracks down Ki-seok, seeking information about his brother and Soo-in. However, the situation escalates when Ki-seok contacts Kang-woo, prompting Kyung-hee to threaten Ki-seok's life if they don't return home immediately. In a desperate bid to protect their friend, Kang-woo and Soo-in comply. But Ki-seok sacrifices himself to save them. Despite their efforts, Ki-seok tragically dies. Meanwhile, the raid proceeds as planned, but Jun-kyung begins to doubt Chul Min's loyalty. Suspecting him of being a parasite, she collects a hair sample from Won Seok for testing. However, when the test results reveal that Won Seok is human, Jun-kyung's suspicions shift. As the task force prepares to strike, Kang-woo and Soo-in reach out one last time, warning Jun-kyung that it's a trap. Ignoring their warning, Jun-kyung leads the team into the building, unaware of the true threat lurking within. Once inside, Chul Min takes matters into his own hands, eliminating his parasitic fellows with a shotgun blast to the chest. Meanwhile, Kyung-hee narrowly escapes, boarding a bus as she grapples with feelings of betrayal and confusion. As Soo-in and Kang-woo piece together the puzzle, they realize that the parasite within Chul Min has a hidden agenda. It seeks to seize control of someone in a position of power, specifically targeting the Namcheon mayor who is expected to arrive soon. In a memory, we see Won Seok's past meeting with Pastor Kwan, who's controlled by the parasite. The pastor, driven by dark goals, has killed his wife and forces Won Seok to help by threatening his life. He reveals his plan to lead a human group, explaining why Won Seok is involved. Back in the present, Chul Min, now with the pastor's parasite, holds a meeting to update everyone on the task force's actions. He announces a search for Soo-in and Kyung-hee, calling them wanted criminals. Oddly, he doesn't mention Kang-woo, who grabs some snacks for himself and Soo-in before leaving. Kyung-hee calls Kang-woo, suggesting they meet up. He's unsure about it, but Soo-in agrees to the idea, seeing it as a chance to join forces and confront Chul Min. While Heidi disagrees, fearing unnecessary risks, Soo-in is willing to go along with it. During this, Kang-woo witnesses the conversation and gets angry. He grabs a knife and moves to act, but Kyung-hee intervenes, stopping him in his tracks. Surprisingly, no one around them seems to react, not even when a family walks by moments later. After the tension settles, Kang-woo shares details about Chul Min's plans, including targeting the mayor. With a shaky alliance formed, they decide to work together, at least for now. Meanwhile, Jun-kyung discovers evidence suggesting that the knife used against the hunting dog might have been manipulated to frame the parasites, confirming what they suspected. Jun Kyung gets orders from her bosses to head to Gangwon-do, where they suspect there are new parasites. She's worried about leaving town, especially with Chul Min and Won Seok assisting with the mayor's security, which aligns with the plan to harm him. As they're leaving, Soo-in calls Jun Kyung, speaking through Heidi, and warns her about the music festival. She says she's on her way to kill Chul Min. Surprisingly, Jun Kyung believes her and turns the van around, abandoning the original plan. Meanwhile, Kyung-hee and Soo-in wait for the right moment to strike. They spot Chul Min, who's not being very sneaky, and immediately starts attacking people, revealing himself as a parasite and moving to attack the mayor. In the midst of the chaos, Chul Min infects one of the mayor's guards. But before he can take control of the mayor, Kyung-hee arrives and intervenes. Kang-woo protects the mayor while a fight erupts between the two parasites. Sadly, the pastor's parasite proves too powerful and overtakes Kyung-hee, leading to her demise. As the pastor's parasite fades away, it seizes control of Won Seok. Kang-woo and the mayor manage to escape, leaving Soo-in to confront Won Seok. However, in the heat of the battle, Won Seok proposes an alliance to take down the organization. Just as they consider it, Jun Kyung arrives and realizes Won Seok's true identity as a parasite. Without hesitation, she shoots him in the chest, ending his life. As Soo-in manages to kill the sneaky parasite attacking Jun Kyung, Heidi reveals that Soo-in is now trusting people despite her past hardships. Passing out from exhaustion, Soo-in is found by Jun Kyung and her team. After assessing the situation, Jun Kyung realizes that Soo-in poses no threat as a normal woman and decides to let her go free. Meanwhile, Kang-woo and Soo-in develop a strong bond after enduring numerous challenges together. Sometime later, they are seen walking together, reflecting on their journey. Kang-woo shares that he has recently joined Team Grey with Jun Kyung, leveraging his military background from his time in the Marines to rebuild his life. As they stand together, Kang-woo takes out a note that Heidi wrote for Soo-in. He expresses his inability to convey the message himself and leaves, suggesting that there's a place for her on the team. Reading the remaining words of the note to herself, Soo-in learns that Heidi assured her she's not alone, whether she realizes it or not. In the next scene, Soo-in receives a visitor at the Grey, claiming to be an expert on parasites. To her surprise, the visitor turns out to be Shinichi. He extends his hand for a handshake, signaling the end of the season.